myself off the floor.
Welcome to Difficult Conversations About Beauty. My name is Anita East, and I'm a nurse practitioner specialising in aesthetic, skin, and integrative medicine. I'm so delighted to have you here. But can I get you to do me a favour and just look around you out there? It can be super confusing trying to work out what's true and what's not in this world of beauty and health. So during each episode, we seek to dispel the myths, find the truth, and empower one another with ready-to-implement advice that will make your life so much better than before you started listening. Just as a reminder, the podcast is not intended as a substitute for the medical advice of legitimate healthcare practitioners. The listener should regularly consult a healthcare practitioner in matters relating to their health, particularly with respect to any symptoms that may require diagnosis or medical attention. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy. Oh my gosh, Angie, I am absolutely thrilled and delighted to have you here today on my little podcast, Difficult Conversations About Beauty. How are you?
I am so good. And I know that we have been trying to do this for quite some time now. So I'm glad we've been able to lock it in.
Absolutely. It's so good too. And do you know what? I'm all about the universe gives us the right timing when it's the right timing.
Oh, definitely. I'm a massive believer in that. I always think everything happens as it should. So we're here now.
Absolutely. Now, Angie, I mean, I really don't need to introduce you because you are known and loved amongst every Australian household and even overseas as well. So, but Angie, I think if we talk a little bit about how we first met, then that might then kind of imply like the things that you've done and talk about the things that you've done in the past in terms of your public persona and so forth.
Well, we would have met, oh gosh, when was it? It was 2018,
maybe?
Yeah.
When did you go on the Bachelorette? When was that?
So I was the Bachelorette in 2019, which was pre-pandemic.
Yes.
And then I think I started seeing you though before then.
Yes, it was. It was because we got you ready for the Bachelorette, didn't we? We made sure that you were at your absolute best and your most beautiful for the Bachelorette, didn't we?
Yes. That's right. And I think I even started to see you right before I did the jungle. So I left Gogglebox, got the jungle right away and was like, oh my gosh, I have to spend like 4 weeks if I last that long. And thankfully I did in the jungle with no makeup on. And obviously it's ruthless already being on TV with a professional makeup team at the best of times. So going somewhere so vulnerable, I was like, and my skin had all this like melasma and I was just like, oh my God, people are going to shred me. So I remember leading up to that, I was like, I want to make sure I feel good about my skin. And I think that's when we kind of started everything.
It must have been. So did you do the jungle before Bachelorette?
Yeah, I did the jungle before Bachelorette. So I left Gogglebox in end of 2018. And then literally that January 2019, I was in the jungle, got out and then got Bachelorette straight away. So it was just like boom, 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 boom.
Okay, so probably, we did. We saw you in prep for you going into the jungle. And I think obviously, you know, you've been on a few different shows now and you're doing lots of other work now with women and women's health. And you're a really big advocate for women and women's health. And I think that's incredible and a really poignant reason why I want you on my little show to talk about things to do with your beauty and how you can understand your own beauty, how each of our listeners can understand our own beauty. So tell us about how then you first got into having little bits of injectables done.
I first started when I was 25. I was living in Sydney and I wasn't on TV yet. Maybe I was just about to go on TV and I was nannying for somebody and she has a medi spa in Sydney. And she was like, she'd always tell me I was beautiful, but she was like, oh, she was very upfront. And she was like, oh, it'd be so much more pretty if you got rid of like your frown lines. And I was like, she was like, and you don't have a top lip. And I was like, oh, well, wow, there you go. I never noticed that I didn't. Because I look back now and I'm like, oh, I really didn't. But it wasn't something that I was like, oh, yeah, I would like that. But I'll tell you what, she was right. Because after that, even just those two little things, it was a game changer. But that's when I started. And I feel like I was in kind of a healthy relationship with it for a while. But I do know that as soon as if you haven't had lip injections before, and as soon as you get that first bit, it's like you want to see how far you can go. And that's where I found I was starting to get a little bit like, oh, I want this bigger, or I want this to move less. And that's when it started to kind of get a little bit more from, fixing up a few lines here and there and giving me a top lip, to then being like, oh, what else can I fix? And that's where it's kind of like a risky little, where's the line?
And did you have any idea at that stage, when you first started in getting little bits of injectables, about what your unique facial feature was? So what was most beautiful about your face? Or were you kind of more looking at problems and looking at trying to fix them?
Yeah, I was looking at problems, definitely. You're always told certain things about yourself, but it's up to you what you believe too. People go, oh, you got beautiful eyes, or got a beautiful smile, but you're like, oh, does people just say that to everybody? So I wasn't looking at myself going, oh, I want my eyes to still really stand out, and I want my mouth to still really stand out. I was like, oh no, this is moving. Is that not supposed to move? Especially when I started on Gogglebox, I was on TV, every week for, I think it was 10 weeks at a time, twice a year. And you just started to see the comments being like, things that'll look different, or if I gained weight, or if I lost weight. And it was all starting to focus on that. And that's where I started to get a little bit more like, oh, do I have to pay more attention to what my face looks like? Because really, I've always obsessed over my body, like a lot of people have struggled with eating disorders and whatnot. And then when the face stuff started kicking in too, I was like, oh gosh, there's so much to think about, but really not. That's how I felt back then.
And it's interesting because I suppose with the face, more so than perhaps with the body, there are little fixes that you can go and get done. So it's a little bit maybe more easily accessible in terms of getting that quick fix.
Well, that's it. That's so it. It's like, if you're not happy with yourself, I mean, it's a lot deeper than this. Obviously, I've done a lot of work internally, and I know where the main happiness stems from. But say if you hadn't done that work yet, I find that, when you're not happy with yourself, if you can get a quick fix, a lot of people will do that. It's just the world we live in at the moment. And it's about kind of unlearning that too, and working out, where is this coming from that I am looking at myself that way? Or why do I think I need this? Or is it because somebody else said something? I realized it was a whole kind of process in itself. It's not just like, okay, it's not like, oh, I feel ugly today or whatever, I'm going to go get my face fixed. That's where I think it can turn dangerous, because you're never going to fix what's going on in here if you're just like going to town on yourself.
You're essentially, what you're doing is you're finding little dopamine hits along the way, aren't you?
That's exactly what it was. And it's for that moment, you feel good, but then it's only a matter of time before the brain's like, I want that next hit. What else can I do? So it's also acknowledging that it is exactly that. It's a hit.
And how long do you reckon between, this sounds terrible, not between hits, but, between little things that you went, when you were satisfied with what you'd had done? So, for example, you'd had your lips done. How long did you sit happy with those lips before you went, oh gosh, I want to have some more put in my lips?
Oh gosh, I try to look back, because it's a lot less now. I've been through quite the journey, as you know, and have watched with my face. But at the beginning, it was like I got them pretty big. Like, I wanted to have big lips because I'd never had them before. It would be, there'd always be something. And because I had that friend there, the person I worked for, so accessible too. Like, I was looking after her children, and then I could be like, oh, maybe can we try this? Oh, can we fix this? Can we fix this? She never let me go too far, thankfully. Maybe lips a little, but she would never let me get fillers, which is great. That came on later down the track, and that's a whole different story.
So let's talk about when I met you. One of the first things, because I remember when I met you, my main objective with you was the fact that you were going to be on camera and you were going to be scrutinized. I mean, I obviously knew you from Gogglebox, but I knew what the camera would be wanting to see. And the camera picks up everything. And I think coming from, because my background is acting and TV presenting, so coming from that in front of the camera perspective, I was able to say, well, this is what the camera will like. This is what the camera won't like, and therefore the audience won't like either. So I think the main thing with you when I first met you in person was how amazing your eyes were when you smiled. And that was what brought us back to your personality as being every girl, as being a girl that every single young lady out there could look up to and go, oh my gosh, she's exactly like I want to be. And it was all to do with your eyes when you smiled, because you've got these amazingly full high cheekbones and they're stunning. You've got these beautiful fat pads through your face that
they don't need any more filler.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you've got this really petite, gorgeous little chin, which then, you know, allows the focus when we look at you and when the camera looks at you to throw back up to your eyes. And if you look at the editing on any of the shows that you've been on, it's exactly what the camera does. The DOP, the director of photography, always knows the thing to do is to zoom in on your eyes, because that's where your unique facial feature is.
And isn't that amazing? Because you forget that too. Like you just, like we were saying before, you focus on what you can fix, but it's really making stand out what you already have. And I love that idea of getting work done to enhance the beauty you already have, not fix what you don't have. And I think that you're right. It took me so long to realize, even when I was looking at myself, I guess I look at myself harder. If I have acne scars, I look there. But not everyone's going to look there because they're looking at me telling a story or how I'm going to respond. It wasn't necessarily like, you're always your own worst critic too. But it is learning what your beautiful, unique features are. And once I understood that more, I was like, oh, wow, the more I enhance this, it takes away from what is me. And that's not how I got to where I am at all. I've got to where I am by being me. So changing myself so much was quite a journey in itself, really.
In a way, you almost went, I was going to say you went far to then come back, but then so after we worked together for a little while, then, and I think this happens a lot. Well, it did. There are new regulations and rules and so forth, which hopefully will have stemmed this. But you were seeing someone who you feel kind of changed your face a little bit. So after, we worked together for maybe a couple of years. And then I think you were on Dancing with the Stars.
Yes. So that was still all Angie face, I like to call it. Obviously with slight a bit of filler, and I've always been honest about that. I'm not one of those people that's like, no, I didn't. I was like, I love a bit of lip filler and Botox. But then I did the first season of Dancing with the Stars, and then the pandemic hit. So then it was a lot harder to, number one, see your normal practitioners, and number two, sit around and just scroll on Instagram and look at everybody's life and just get so stuck. I think those 2 years really got everybody stuck in such a rut. And it was after those 2 years, obviously, I'd gone through a big public breakup too. Wasn't exercising, so I gained quite a bit of weight. And then I was like, oh God, this, people just were terrible about what they were saying about me, especially after the breakup. And that's when I felt my self-confidence kind of going down. And it was after the pandemic. No, it was still during. You know how we had little openings? Yes, I was back filming for something at the end of 2020. I could come back to Queensland, and it was around then that it started, the extra changes and filler and all of that.
So what went wrong?
I think I had really low self-esteem. I just kept looking at myself and I just felt terrible. To be honest, as much as Bachelorette was an amazing opportunity and a life experience I would never take away. Obviously, I met some amazing people, and it's, you know, I got to be a strong young woman on television standing up for herself. Like, I'll never take that back. But the idea in my mind when I got Bachelorette, I thought everybody would think that I have to look a certain way. And that really played on me. So then when that passed and I was just Angie at home in a pandemic, gaining weight like a normal human does. And, you know, I just, everybody's judgment kind of drowned me. And then I think then I went to this lady, and then she said to me that I didn't have all of these things. She's like, you don't have a chin. You look really tired. Let's just make you not look tired anymore because you don't, you know, look like fresh Angie. And I was like, I'm not fresh Angie because I don't have a full-time makeup team every day. And I'm actually eating and not crazy about how I look every second of the day, you know, being Bachelorette. But yeah, that's kind of when it went really bad. And that was a year of really terrible work and allowing somebody to kind of, I don't know, would you say like feed off my weakness, I guess.
So you were feeling really vulnerable at that time, and you, like you said, you had low self-esteem and you felt the pressure from what people online were saying about you, as well as the pressure of the pandemic and everything that was happening globally as well as locally. Yeah. And so maybe it was a case of thinking, when someone suggested to you that A, you don't have a chin, or B, you don't have a jawline, or, you know, those kinds of things, that you thought that if I were to have those things, would I feel more confident? Would I get my self-esteem back? Would people accept me? Would people like me again?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, wow, for somebody to like go out of their way to tell me that I look really tired, that's obviously what everybody else is thinking. And I'll probably feel better if I start to look better again. But that wasn't the case. It just was worse. And you should never really get work when you're vulnerable. I don't think that's the worst time to get work.
I think I think that's a really important takeaway from this is definitely not to get work done when you're vulnerable. I mean, having your hair, I mean, look, if you're feeling vulnerable and you think, I'm going to go and have my hair chopped and dyed blonde or red or whatever, then that is, look, it's still not good. In fact,
it's not. I did that too. And I was like, why did you do all these big things when you were like your lowest self? Like, no, just wait. Maybe just get more therapy, you know, or do some spiritual work. Yes. Then think about if you want that cut and dye and that filler or whatever it is that you think you need.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, because, I mean, I know myself, I've said to hairdressers in the past, you know, when after a big something has happened in my life, please, you know, do this with my hair. And they would generally say, go away and think about it. To which point I'd think about it and I go, oh no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where there's the massive difference in professionals if they can say that to you, instead of just being like, oh yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity for money, whether it's money or advertisement or whatever it is that you do with the person. I think that goes to show the difference in, you know, practitioners or hairdressers is what are the good ones and what are the ones that are just doing it because they want
the
money,
the job or the accolade that'll come from that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what did you saying that you had lots done and it didn't make you feel, what did you have done?
Oh gosh, I can hardly remember. It was like a lot. I look back and I'm like, number one, I don't know how emotionally I handled it and physically handled it, because it was just like, I remember it was like I didn't have a chin, so making my chin kind of longer. And then I don't apparently, like, because this kind of morphs down this part. What's this part called?
The jawline.
Well, it's just the jawline, yeah. So it was like giving me a jaw. So there was so much going on. And then it was like, you're tired. So it was like putting filler under my eyes. And then it was like, I just look back at the photos and I just feel like it's just a different person, because all you can see, and I already have, this is natural. And obviously when I gain weight, a lot of my weight goes to my face, but even when I don't, I've always got a chubby face, like a big round face. I'm like my mum. My mum has that too. I already have these big ass cheeks. They were so big, and then I had the big jaw. My eyes were so much smaller, and I had so much filler in my jaw that I couldn't smile. My smile was a half smile, because I'd be like, like trying to like push it out again, and I couldn't do it. So I had taken away my smile, which has always been something that I think, well, everybody enjoys a smile. You've got to be able to smile. And couldn't see my eyes anymore, which I then learned was my beautiful, unique feature.
I must admit, I saw a photo of you online on social media, and I remember going, oh, Angie, what's happened to your face? Because I couldn't see your beautiful, big, brown, smiling, expressive eyes. Like you said, there was so much, I expect, filler pressing against them that when you did smile, they disappeared.
They completely disappeared, and it just constantly, I don't know. I mean, I see other people who've got different shaped faces, and it's like it suits them because that's their look, but it doesn't suit my shaped face or who I am. And ultimately I am just, the girl next door. I'm never going to be a supermodel, and I'm bloody fine with that. And I think I was aspiring to be, something that I'm just not.
But it's interesting, if you do look at the supermodels, they actually don't have all of their facial features blown up or made to be the most special feature. Not all of their facial features are their lead actor. They still have one lead actor that is most identifiable about them. I mean, if you think about Anna Taylor-Joy, who's an actor, but stunning, absolutely stunning. She has these tiny little lips, this tiny little chin, this wide kind of sweetheart-shaped face, and her eyes are her unique facial feature because they're so wide set. Now, if someone were to give her a big chin, because if you were to break down her face, and have you seen The Queen's Gambit, with her in The Queen's Gambit?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, she's beautiful. She has those like big kind of like,
absolutely
stunning eyes.
And if you watch The Queen's Gambit, for example, or anything, any actual any even editorials that she's done, the camera is always, if anything, it makes the photographer always makes her drop her chin to make her chin look even smaller than it naturally is, and to make her eyes look even wider. Now, if we were to because yes, if we were to, like I said, break down each of her facial features and look at them, we'd go, oh my gosh, that chin is too small, for the ideals of what beauty is. That jawline is too weak. Those cheeks are too flat, right? But put it together, and her face tells the most incredible story. She doesn't even have to speak. She literally just uses her eyes. And I think that's something that it's something that I'm certainly obviously very passionate about and harp on about, is the fact that we are one lead actor. We have one lead actor on our face. Not all of our facial features are lead actors.
Yeah.
And they're supporting actors. The other facial features are supporting actors. And the role of supporting actors is to ensure that the lead actor always remains in the spotlight.
That's so true. When you look at it like that, it just feels so right and makes so much sense. And you don't want to, sorry, you go.
You go, sweet.
No, I was just going to say, you don't want to drown your supporting actors in things, because exactly, they're then taking away from the main attraction.
Exactly. And I think what was happening probably to you then is that your supporting actors which were being made into lead actors.
Yeah, they were. They were. Oh my gosh, that's so true. But the supporting actors are amazing. We all want our supporting actors, but we don't want our supporting actors to, run amok over our face and just take over.
Well, all they do then is they make the lead actor drown out, and you can't see the lead actor. In fact, you're sat there looking at a face that was previously incredibly stunning, and you're going, well, I can't see what's beautiful about them. What's all the fuss about, kind of thing.
Well, That's so true. And it's so important to realize that there is such a beauty trend. I do think it's kind of fading out though, which is thank God. And why would we all want to look the same? And I think that it's so important for people to know and understand this message of the fact that you all have a beautiful, unique feature. And like you do with your work, just even, you know, I don't even know if we could use my face as an example. Like, you know, I would never get rid of the smile lines, for example, but say I'd want to lift my eyebrows or I don't know exactly what we've done. Like, I can't remember. But it's so important for people to know that instead of going somewhere going, I want this, without knowing what their feature is that stands out. And I just wish everybody knew that, like, before they go in with a plan.
Because I think there's a couple of things there with the medical model of medicine and healthcare. We look at things as problems that need fixing.
Yes.
Your face no one's face is a problem that needs fixing. So this idea that we're breaking down the face into parts that, you know, have a wrinkle here and that's a bad thing, or have a bit of volume loss here and that's a bad thing, is flawed from the outset.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I'm so glad that I feel like we're kind of getting back there, but not overly, because you do just scroll online and still see everybody just going to town on the way somebody looks or how they think someone should look. But I hope that we can focus on, just.
Well, there are changes afoot, which is fantastic, because I remember what we would do is if you said I want to do this and this, and I'd say no. No, wouldn't I? I'd say no to you more often than not, and I apologize for that. But
no, I'm so glad you did, because you get it. Like, you understand. Like I said before, we're probably our own worst critics. So of course we're going to come in with a plan, and it's important to have a professional who understands and sees this. And you're not just doing it for a job or whatever it is that people, you know, want to get out of it, each experience, but you want people to feel and look their best. And I think that makes an amazing practitioner. And that's what I just want more people to understand, is you've got to find the right person for you, because you will find somebody that will let you do all those things. It's not going to make you feel any better, and it'll cost you a fortune also.
Yes. And then on that, and the dissolving will cost a fortune as well.
Oh my gosh, the dissolving. So then after all of the filler, which I had for a year, because the country obviously shut down off and on a lot, so I couldn't really get anywhere unless it was for work. And I have one show where it's just like my whole face is, and obviously I've changed a lot from a 25-year-old girl who started on Gogglebox to now I'm 34 next week. It's like, I'm going to change. That's 10 years. I'm going to get bigger, or I'm going to get, you know, your face does change. So I think I got to remember that too. Or even 28 years old to 34 is different. And I think that, you know, I have this one show where I know it's not just weight gain or age or whatever, or not feeling myself due to, you know, whatever's going on in my body. It was the filler. And I look back at that show and I was just like, oh, I just wish I didn't do that to myself, but also for little girls to then look, or women or whatever, to look at me and be like, oh, why has she done that for? Like, do I need to do that? Because that was me at my worst doing something. That's not me at my best showing you what I think you should do ever. And I really want people to understand that was just a very vulnerable, sick person at the time, battling with stuff, and made the wrong choice by thinking that filler and changing my face was the answer.
So how did you decide to, like, was it seeing that stuff on, or was it someone saying something, or was it?
It was everything. I watched my mum be like, oh, like, I remember her saying, I just wish you would stop. I think you're going too far. And I was like, no, this is just swollen. It'll go down. I was told that it would go down, and it didn't. It just settled more and more. And I even think about it and it gives me anxiety. And I had friends didn't really say anything because I was so fleeting around for work, and I was never in a place long enough. I don't think they felt like they could do that to me as well, because they're like, we never get to see you and we just want to enjoy you, not the way you look. Because not many friends said a lot, but it was my mum who did. And then I saw it when I watched myself on TV, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And it was just every photo. I was like, I don't look like myself. And I felt so just terrible. Like I just felt really down. Um, it was quite a full on process. I mean, the amount of filler that I got put in my face, and I'd never name and shame, but that person should not have done that. And I know that they've done it to quite a few people. Um, it's it's not right. I just don't think it should be allowed. And I know I said yes, but I actually didn't know what was happening to me. A lot of the time it'd be like, we're just gonna do this. And I was like, okay, as long as I look more fresh, like I should have asked more questions, but I didn't. I just didn't. I just trusted, I guess, too. And then after that it came like the whole, oh my God, okay, I need to get this shit out of my face. And then you started with the dissolving process, and then I had somebody else in Brisbane start it, and then I guess I kind of started fresh.
Yeah, we did
hardly
a
have
bit
any.
of yeah, we did a bit of dissolving, and then you saw someone else to get some dissolving done when you were having skin things done, which was
Yes.
great. And I think dissolving is one of those things that, again, yeah, great, sure, great that we've got dissolving on hand, but we should never fill with the idea that, oh, if we don't like it, we can dissolve it. And that's another reason
No.
why we should be really careful and practice ethically when we are treating patients, is because this could be, this could be with them for a long time. And we know that dermal fillers can last a really long time.
Oh gosh, they certainly can. And they can move too, and you can feel it. And no, I wouldn't suggest going to a place and trying to see if something works for you and then thinking you could get it dissolved, because number one, it costs a lot and it hurts. And why do that to yourself when you could go to the right person to be like, this is what I'm thinking, but then have somebody like you to explain, well, no, but let's look at it this way. That to me is so important, so incredibly important. And I hope more practitioners are doing this.
Yeah, well, I think that certainly with new rules and regulations that are coming out recently, just last week, TGA and AHPRA, who are our governing bodies, essentially, announced that we weren't allowed to use certain terms like anti-wrinkle injections and dermal filler. So it's even gone. So I think what's happened is, do you remember the whole Cosmetic Cowboys expose that was on Four Corners and 60 Minutes? There was something a couple of years ago, and it was about I don't even want to call them surgeons, because they actually legally weren't surgeons. However, they were operating on people, again, a lot of them in very vulnerable states and tricky times in their lives, and were kind of promised this idea that if you have this treatment or this procedure done, then your life will improve. You'll be happy and everything will go swimmingly well from then on. So that expose happened. AHPRA kind of realized that the horse had well and truly bolted, and they've kind of been trying to pull on the reins since that expose happened. But I think, with the change in the fact that we're not allowed to use certain language, I think finally things are coming to a head, which is an amazingly important and much needed thing. What would your advice to clinicians and practitioners of non-surgical cosmetic medicine be? Like, what would you say as an advocate, as a woman who's had treatment and things have gone wrong and you've not enjoyed the after effects? What would you say to us to make sure that we're caring for you, our patients, better?
Well, it's one of those things where you kind of have to ask yourself in any line of work you're in, but especially when it's to do with the way somebody presents themselves or health or anything like that, is like, why did you get into this work in the first place? Was it because you just wanted to make a lot of money because you knew people would always want to fix their face? Or is it because you really do want to help people? As much as it probably sounds vain to a lot of people, this line of work is, it's obviously, it comes down to the individual what they want to do, but so many of us get it done. So it would be, are you doing it to make people happy, or do you just want money? Because if you just want money, then that's when it becomes really dangerous, and it really can affect people. more than people understand. I think that it's like, oh, well, you chose to do that. It's like, you know when people are vulnerable and when you shouldn't do something to somebody. Everybody's taught that. So I think you really kind of got to ask yourself that question. I wish that everybody could maybe get some kind of therapy first, maybe that's mandatory before getting something really big, not just getting Botox, but something where it's like, I want this done, just to maybe see why and where do you want to get this? Like, why do you want to do this? And for what reason? That would be amazing. But I don't know if that's like too far-fetched. I don't know if that's a possibility.
Well, we're doing BDD, or body dysmorphic disorder, screening now. So
Yeah.
I do them I do that. I have a screening tool that I do for all of my brand new patients.
Oh, great.
And if I feel that a patient that I've been treating, say, for example, for 3 years or even longer, is starting to tip over the edge, which can happen with social media and with changes in their own life, for example, then I will screen them.
That's so good. I think that's really important. I think a lot of people have body dysmorphia without being diagnosed with it. I think it's just something that's just laying dormant because we're just constantly forced certain beauty standards as women, especially in our faces. So I think that is so important. That would be one of the main ones, is making sure that all practitioners do what you're doing there and seeing, if people are experiencing some kind of body dysmorphia or just like needing some extra help in another area first, like going within rather than fixing without. Because, body dysmorphia is real. It's hardcore. I think a lot of people think that it's such like a vain thing. It's not. It's like a real condition.
And it's interesting whether or not the prevalence of BDD is increasing, thanks to the fact that we're always online, where we've got public judgment. Anyone can see us.
Yeah.
So what would you say to anyone who is in the public eye like you are, or anyone who wants to be? Think of all those people who want to be in the public eye.
It's so weird because even from just like 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, the difference in social media and how much more people care about it compared to when I was kind of, let's just say, the peak of my, reality TV career, when everybody was, talking about, it was probably only Bachelor and Bachelorette then. I don't even know. Yeah, and Maths was around. I feel like it was just starting then, but I didn't get swept up in the whole social media thing as much as I could have, and I never have, thank God. But I see it now, and it's like a lot of people make their careers on there. A lot of people it's like battle of who is the most kind of outrageous at the moment, I feel. We're living in a generation that is very manic. It's very like needs the next hit, doesn't really want to work on themselves other than following like a TikTok and being like, oh, okay, I've got this diagnosis now. So I just feel like people need to realize that if you go on a TV show, you will get that hit of that social media that you want. But then what? Like, why do you want that? Sure, you might get like invited to a few events and get some free shit, but great. Like, where is that? How is that going to like ultimately fulfill you in the long run? It doesn't. If anything, these days with social media being so ruthless, I'd really question going on any kind of dating show or something that isn't going to bring me joy long term, I feel. Because those quick hits are exactly that. They're just quick and they hit and then they're gone. And then you get addicted to the next one. I would suggest really thinking about going on any big dating show, especially if you're like coming out of a breakup and you're like, I want something drastic. It's like, don't go to therapy. Trust me, it's way worth it.
Go to therapy, exercise, eat good food, be with loved ones.
Be with good people. Gosh, most of those people on those shows, or even if they are good people, they get edited so terribly anyway. And the first thing people love to hit at is the way you look. I don't know why. It's an easy insult and it really hurts people. So I think just if you're going on a show like that, know your worth and definitely don't take on other people's judgments either. And don't go fixing yourself right after, because it's like fixing your face. I mean, not yourself with it. Fix yourself. But like, don't go and be like, oh my God, I've been on TV. Now I need this, this, and this, because ultimately that's it's probably the opposite of what you need.
What great advice. I think that's amazing. Now, Angie, I want to know all about, I love your friend's drink bottle. Angie's drink bottle.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun.
Drink bottle is so cute.
It's so good.
Can you tell us what you're up to now? Because I am super excited about what you're up to now.
At the moment, it's actually quite nice because it's quiet right now for me, in terms of like not having to be on set every day, which is great. But I'm actually not great, but it's nice to have a break. I'm actually working on my own project. It's called Scene, and it is ultimately going to be a website where we have amazing practitioners across Australia for people who experience chronic invisible illnesses. So, for example, endometriosis, PCOS, PMDD, adenomyosis, because from my own journey, I have found it started when I was so young. A lot of stuff that's happened has been linked to the fact that I never really knew my body. I was told so many different things when I was actually, riddled with chronic invisible illnesses. I've got a few. So I think my journey and the people I've met now, finally putting myself first. I've met so many beautiful practitioners. I therefore want to use my experience to help other people that are assigned, AFAB and women. I just want to make sure that they're not led down a garden path for 15 years like I was, and then they can get the help now. So that's my biggest baby at the moment. So that's called Scene. And then I've got Space Invaders coming out season 4, which I love doing. Again, I'm on TV, but I'm on a show that's like, I get to help people and I get to talk to people. And that's what I love to do. Everything else has been amazing, but like being able to help people and, watch them just transform their lives that's so rewarding. So I'm really grateful to be able to do both those things.
Well, that's so in tune, both of those things. So Scene and Space Invaders are completely in tune with your personality, which is that you're interested in people. You're interested in people's stories. You're interested in being an advocate for those people. And it's amazing how sometimes we have to go through a journey. And like you said, you're not even you're a baby. You're still a baby. You're 33, nearly 34. But it's like you've found two incredible things, especially with the Scene. I think that's amazing. And I think coming from a personal perspective where you're speaking from inside knowledge of knowing what it's like, I don't want to say to be gaslit, but to be to not necessarily have had access to practitioners who knew what was wrong with you.
Well, that's it. I would throw that word gaslighter around a lot. Prior to now, I work with my business partner. She's a women's health physio, but she's studying to be a doctor so she can become, an amazing practitioner for people that struggle with things like this. And I kind of review my words now because I'm like, it's hard, that word is such a big word, but I do think a lot of practitioners, they can do that. I have had some absolute shockers, but a lot of them have so much pressure on them to know everything. So then they're just like, I don't know, do that. I think it's important for them to know, to be like, you know what, I actually don't know this. This isn't my area. So therefore I'm going to put you in contact with somebody that does know. That's where it needs to change too. And I think a lot of doctors feel like they think that they should know everything. So it's kind of rewording and seeing the pressure they've received, but also knowing that so many people, because of that, have suffered for so long. And let's face it, like women's health has never been at the forefront of anybody's mind until recently. And even now, it's a slow journey. It's definitely, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I'm up for the challenge. So
you're the right
bring
person.
It on.
you are the person for the challenge. You are.
I'm like a little cockroach. I go through those real downs where I'm like, no, but I'll bounce back eventually.
Yeah, you're amazing. And I think it's incredible what you're doing, my darling. I'm really, really super proud of you. Now, what I like to do at the end of each of my little episodes is draw a card.
Oh, yes. I love these cards. I do have these cards, actually.
Oh, fantastic. So these are my little unique beauty affirmation cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just shuffle them, and I want you to tell me when to stop.
Okay.
And then we'll see what that card is.
All right, stop.
That's this one. Skin. Oh my gosh, that's probably back to front. Oh, okay. Just wowzers. This is so good.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we've just been talking about. Okay, so skin. The tree has rings that reveal its age. You have skin that tells the story of your life. It has protected you since conception. Sometimes thick, sometimes thin. Your skin is reactive to all things flowing within you. So tend to it like a tiny seedling from which you aspire to grow a glorious forest. Listen when it asks for help and celebrate when it blooms.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Goosebumps. That is good because
that's spot on. And not just for skin, obviously, but for everything we just spoke about, even with your body and your face and just yourself. Like, oh, that was so perfect.
But also the fact that you'll listen when it asks for help. You're being this incredible advocate. Celebrate when it blooms. So I actually feel like you've got this seedling at the moment with seen. You've got this seedling, and it's actually coming into fruition, and it's starting to become a forest, which is so exciting.
I love that. That was a metaphor for my body, but also for the greater too, like everything that's going on. I love that. That was beautiful.
Oh, my darling, I have loved chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, I always love chatting with you, and I know, like, I haven't seen you in so long. We're doing virtual cuddles, but I do want to leave on one other note, other than obviously loved having this chat, but I just pray if everybody could have an Anita in their life, just in general, would be nice. But as a practitioner on your side is a complete and utter game changer and a must. So if you can try to find more Anitas around Australia or wherever you live, make sure you do, because it's a must and it's worth it.
Oh, bless you, my darling. You're so gorgeous. I love
You're
you
the
so
best.
much.
Thank you. I love you. And thank you for all the beautiful work you do.
My pleasure. I will see you soon.
Yay. Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, please share. Remember to give it 5 stars and write me a kind review. Remember, kindness always comes back to us. All discussed links will be in our show notes. And until next time, may you revel in your beautiful and unique faces, both today and always.